New Beginnings Toastmasters Club, please come to order. I'm Lee Walker, the Sergeant at Arms for the club. I want to welcome all Toastmasters and guests to our meeting this evening. Do we have an invocation?
That'd be Zach Phillips.
Yep. Okay, good evening, fellow Toastmasters. I'm going to give a short invocation. So I was searching through a bunch of my books looking for a quote, and I literally went to like a random quote generator, and the first one that came up was, "Some men have thousands of reasons why they cannot do what they want to, when all they need is one reason why they can." And that led me to think, well, that sort of relates to success is just a decision away, which is something I've learned in the coaching program that I'm part of. And, you know, but that's an anonymous quote. So Mel Robbins has a great quote that says, "Your life comes down to your decisions. If you change your decisions, you change everything." So one thing that I thought for a while, I was like, you know, and then I finally came up with this one thing. Right before I joined Toastmasters, actually, my house was kind of a mess. My apartment was kind of a mess. And it's much, much, much better now. But the one thing I did was I bought this record shelf, this bookshelf, because like I have a lot of records. And so the two things I sort of killed with one stone by buying this bookshelf was I, A, got to clean up my entire apartment, and B, I'm now listening to more records. So when I say that literally like 50 to 80% of my furniture was rearranged in my main room, in my bedroom, and even in my dining room, you know, that's a real truism. I mean, like, you should have seen it before and after. And the big thing is it's literally just came down to one decision that I made to purchase this bookshelf, put it together, and I was like, well, where the heck am I going to put this? And I took it all over the house, and finally, after arranging so many different, you know, things of furniture, I came up with the perfect place, or my perfect place for everything. A great feng shui to it. So it was literally came down to one decision. Changed so much in my life. All right, thank you, and I'll turn it over to Toastmaster of the evening.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Zach. That was a very intriguing, interesting invocation, and I loved it. There's a lot of things that I realize now, if I could just make that distinct decision, just move forward with making that decision, I think that would solve most of my problems, and I would agree. The more decisive I've come, the more successful I've come over time. There's some things you got to slow down on, but 90% of it you got to be decisive with. So good call, good call. Welcome to our meeting tonight. I am the president, Robert Riggs, of New Beginnings Toastmasters. I am the president of the newbies, as we call ourselves. New Beginnings Toastmasters is not just a Toastmasters place where we can talk about better public speaking and leadership, but it's also, we take it one level above that. We try to reach out into ourselves and say, where are areas that we can improve as people? I mean, if we're going to give speeches, we might as well talk about something. So why not talk about goals that we have? I've actually asked everybody, said, give me 3 goals at the beginning of this year that you want to accomplish over the next Toastmasters year, the whole year. 3 goals outside of Toastmasters, and bring that in. And together we can bridge that gap. So this club is here for your public speaking, your leadership, and go one level above that. Find who you are, reinvent that, find your new beginning. That's what we're looking for here. So without further ado, I would like to welcome everybody. Looks like we have a few guests in the crowd. They are fellow Toastmasters, but nonetheless, they are not members. So I'm going to call on them one by one. Miss Lynn Claiborne has visited our club at least 17 times. So welcome back. So, 18, excuse me. But please unmute yourself and tell us about yourself a little bit.
Good evening, everyone. Yes, I've been here quite a few times, and I've been a member of Toastmasters International since 2016. I am a member of 2 clubs, and I think you guys adopted me for this club. I have been held several positions throughout the district, and I think my favorite position of all was, and the hardest, was club coach. So I enjoy being here. I enjoy sharing information, and don't count that on.
All right. Well, welcome back, Lynn. One role she did not mention that she currently is doing is the admin manager. So she is basically the right-hand woman of William Tyree, which as somebody who's the logistics coordinator, I can say I don't envy you because she ends up doing a whole bunch of stuff every single week and she's in a whole bunch of meetings. So thank her, because if you see a lot of things coming out of the district, chances are Lynn had her fingerprints on it somewhere. So just remember that. Her influence is subtly all over the district. We have a few other people here. I'm going to start with one individual who it looks like invited everybody else. So I'm going to start with Gloria. If you could please tell us who you are. It looks like you're the Area 45 Director. Is that correct?
That is correct. I'm Gloria Henderson, Area 45 Director. I am also Peninsula Powerhouse Speaker, Vice President of Education with Peninsula Powerhouse Speaker, and Vice President Membership with Oyster Point. I've been a member of Toastmasters since November of 2018, and I enjoy it. I joined because I wanted to improve my leadership and my speaking skill. I also own my own business. I am a massage therapist, and so all of that ties in and plays in together with helping me to market, promote my business and my nonprofit business as well. So thank you for having me, and I hear a lot of exciting things about this club. So I look forward to taking part and being a part tonight. So thank you.
Well, welcome, Gloria. I once heard that Toastmasters wear many hats, and it sounds like you wear a whole bunch. So, and I can imagine why you're a massage therapist, because you got to just like work out the knots every day with all those different hats you wear. So congratulations and welcome. And I'd like to hear more about your nonprofit later, if that's okay, or at least share it with us at some point. And we have another individual who is the minion of Miss Gloria Henderson. That is Mr. Merrick Green. I lovingly say minion, but to be honest, you are the assistant area director. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, absolutely. Excellent. You're also our evaluator tonight. Gloria is a table topics master, visiting as table topics master. Thank you. And you're the one of the evaluators tonight. Tell us a little about yourself and just, what you think about Toastmasters.
Okay, so my name is Merrick Green. I am a transitioning Toastmasters member. I'm actually moving. I've been in the United States for about 2 weeks. I'm coming from the Ramstein Speakers Association in Ramstein, Germany, Ramstein Air Base. And I am recently a new member of the Peninsula Powerhouse Speakers Club, and probably and most likely going to also be a member of the Langley Toastmasters Club, because I am in the Air Force, 22 years of service, and I'm enjoying every bit of it. I've been a Toastmaster since April of 2018. It was one of those things that was always on my calendar, something I always wanted to do, but never had the time to go to a meeting. Or I told myself the one opportunity, like Zach was saying, you just got to get out and do it. So I finally did it. And once I jumped in, I had an amazing time and just completely believe in the program that Toastmasters is allowing people to create better leaders and create better speakers. So happy to be here. Thank you, Gloria, for inviting me to the meeting tonight. And I look forward to being a member or being a part of your club tonight.
Well, thank you, sir. I sincerely appreciate that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And I think there was one more individual that Gloria strong-armed to come, because this person right here is doing his first, he's a president of another club, and they're doing their first virtual meeting tomorrow night. So Gerard McGee, why don't you tell us all about your other club, what brings you out tonight besides all these wonderful people, and what Toastmasters has done for you?
Absolutely, Rob. Thank you so much. I really, really feel super excited to be here tonight. As he alluded to, I really, really want to kind of see what you guys go through and the flow that you guys have, because as you said, I'm the president of the Langley Club, and we're having to transition to these online meetings for obvious reasons. And I'm really, really, I know that the Toastmasters vision can continue to excel. I've seen it personally that in-person meetings is very effective, but virtual meetings can be just as effective. And I know that's the case, and I'm really, really looking forward to kind of, pushing our club forward through the pandemic and beyond. So I'm also active duty Air Force member like Merrick. I'm stationed here at Langley. I joined Toastmasters in the February of this year, actually. So I'm pretty new. It was something that was kind of always on my mind, almost also like you alluded to. And I've always done a lot of public speaking on my own. People kind of dissuaded me from joining Toastmasters because they said, you do fine public speaking. And it really agitated me once I started to kind of learn what it was about, because I realized that this is the perfect place for me. because there are other people that are within the club that maybe don't excel at certain things, and that's part of what we do. It's a family, so it's not just about me, it's about what also I can bring to other people. And on top of that, I'm not perfect, so I can always improve in that regard. So I don't want to take up too much time, but I just want to say thank you guys all so much, and I really, really look forward to this not being my only time joining and visiting you guys.
Well, welcome. Thank you for coming out. That was wonderful. Thank you. You hit on a fantastic point. It's not just about public speaking and leadership. It's about the relationship and getting to know each other and helping each other become better people. So yes, sir, if you carry that mentality through your present year, I think you're going to have a lot of success. I personally would not, I don't think I could be persuaded to be a president only after 5 months of being a Toastmaster. But so you're a better man than I. But I think if you got the right people in the place to be there to help you, it looks like you've got at least an area director, an assistant area director, and probably at least a few others. You're going to be successful. There was, now I also wanted to say with the whole online meetings thing, there are 2 people that I consider my secret weapons. Andrew Bullock is like folding his arms right now. And then we have another one is Admin Cleo. She looks like a New Beginnings Club banner. But both of these 2 people, if they could unmute their videos real quick just so that you can see them. So you got Andrew right there. And then where is Admin Cleo? If she can unmute her video. Admin Cleo. You got it?
Hold on. I can't show you. I'm on the PowerPoint, so I can't show you. Sorry.
That's okay.
Hello. I saw some of you all before I took my video off.
Mm. Well, Cleo,
if you need help, I'm at your disposal if you need help.
So those 2 people, if you have any questions, you can private chat them at the bottom. So at the very bottom, where you see where it says chat, you can chat to everybody, or you can just chat to an individual person. So feel free to ask them questions throughout the meeting. You can also, we can probably set up a time afterwards where they or I or some other people in the club meet with you to kind of go through the technical details. There is a 5th person, there we go. So there's a 5th person that snuck in under the wire, and she's currently muted. So Miss Betsy O'Donnell, how are you tonight? Do we have Miss Betsy O'Donnell?
I'm doing well, and yourself?
I'm doing wonderful. Welcome out to our meeting tonight. What brings you out tonight?
Well, a friend by the name of Tammy said, hey, you want to see what Toastmasters is like? And I said, well, sure, I'd love to. So that's why I'm here. I'm here as an observer to see you guys in action, and it sounds very nice so far.
All right. Well, just as a fair warning, the last guest that she brought joined. So that may happen at some point. It's just, but if you do choose to become one of us, just know that we're all, trying to help each other become better people and grow as individuals. So we want you to just try to reach your full potential. It is a public speaking and leadership forum, but at the same time, we're just all people and we're just trying to grow. So welcome, come as much as you want, as often as you want, and have a good time, okay?
Thank you.
Yeah, any questions as well, let us know. We'll answer them right away. And without further ado, since we do have 5 speakers tonight, I'll go ahead and quickly get 2 announcements in. The first one is I actually got an announcement from our treasurer who couldn't be here tonight. She would like to remind everybody that dues are due. Dues are due, and we're trying to get them in by the end of August. And if there's anybody who could stay after the end of the meeting, maybe like a Tammy, would you be available to stay after the end of the meeting and take care of your dues? Maybe just a little? Okay. So I'll ask Tammy at the end. That's one thing right there. So your dues are due. I think over half of us have paid our dues. So that's good news. And then we got a few more stragglers coming in. And the next thing is I'm going to unmute Tammy for a minute. If she could go ahead. There was something that arrived in her mailbox today, and I just want to let her, tell us about that.
Well, I want to thank everyone for the wonderful birthday wishes and for my gift. Well, I don't know if you can see it, but it's called the China Study Cookbook, and it's all plant-based. The best part is they have a chocolate brownie birthday cake and a Reese's peanut butter pie that is plant-based. It's plant-based, and it looks delicious. So thank you all so much. I'm excited to try the recipes. I appreciate it.
So I found out through Birdie that Tammy is kind of vegan. I think the reason I know that is because every single time she kept bringing snacks, there were always vegan snacks. So I asked my parents who were kind of vegans, I'm like, what can I get? And then, what can the officers get as a whole? And we found out this book and we kind of agreed upon it, and I'm glad you like it. So please let us know how the snacks taste, or at least bring it in from time to time so we can try it. Maybe.
I'm also a vegan.
Oh, we'll see that. There's always at least one. So you know how you can tell a vegan or a vegetarian in the crowd? They'll tell you. So
I only told you because you brought it up. So
fair enough. Fair enough. All right, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get on with the meeting. Let's get this party started. And I'm going to pass it over to the Toastmaster of the evening. Hi, everybody. Welcome to our meeting tonight. I am the Toastmaster of the evening, Robert Riggs. I'm actually also serving as your general evaluator tonight. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about what's going on with the structure of our meeting. So for people like Betsy, who've never seen a Toastmasters meeting, we actually are divided into 4 parts. The first part is a general speaking part. Everybody gets to get, certain people who've given prepared speeches or prepared to give a speech are going to give those speeches. That's part 1. Then we're going to have a quick break and we're going to go into something called part 2. That's table topics. At that point, Gloria has about 4 or 5 questions in which she's going to reach out to people unsuspecting and just say, I got this question for this person and that person. And she's just going to give us random impromptu questions. It's like being on a job interview. And then part 3, because we actually love to speak, but in order to get better, we have to go through an evaluation process. We have part 3 are the speech evaluations. We have 5 speakers, so we have 5 speech evaluators. We have 4 speakers or speech evaluators who are going to actually give a verbal speech. And then our final speech evaluator, which is going to be Donna, is going to give a written speech evaluation to Hans. And then the 4th and final part is something called the general evaluation. That's where our little helpers throughout the night will give their role reports, and I will give a general evaluation. So that's the structure of the meeting. And without further ado, I couldn't do this without a bunch of help from everybody else. So I'm now going to pass it over to our general evaluator. Okay. Welcome to this evening tonight. It's Robert Riggs, the general evaluator, and my job is to basically evaluate the meeting from beginning to end. So I'm not just evaluating, like how we're going over here and maybe this person and that person. I'm also supposed to be evaluating the evaluators. So I'm supposed to judge how they actually do as evaluators as well. I'm going to judge the whole meeting. I'm actually going to give out 4 letter grades tonight, and they're going to cover 4 different things, okay? So I'm going to give out 4 letter grades, and as we go through those, we're just going to talk about them a little bit, but most I just want to hear, we'll do a little bit of feedback, but it's going to be probably about a 5 to 7 minute general evaluation, no more than. But I couldn't do all this without help from everybody else. So the first person I'm going to talk to is my grammarian / odd counter, Zach Phillips. If you could unmute yourself, explain your role and what you do.
All right. Thank you, Toastmaster of the evening. I'll be the grammarian, odd counter. And grammarian, it's not just an authoritative figure for me, especially. Like, it's not just all bad grammar. I'm also going to judge, good uses of grammar, interesting, original uses of grammar, like creative uses. But one thing I want to say about grammar in terms of bad grammar, I grew up in Southern Ohio, near the Appalachia area, and they would always say, I seen. I seen. It is not I seen. It is either I saw or hold on. It is either I saw, as in I just saw a bird, or I have seen, like I have seen 3 birds today. No, I seen. Cancel that. Cancel that forever. All right, having said that, I'm also your awe counter this evening. So hopefully you got all your ahs and ums and, you knows, I even do it too. So, and then crutch words, phrases. I'm going to list them all down and maybe even say some nice stuff about the, the event. Who knows? Like maybe no one's going to say any ahs except for me. Who knows? All right, so back to you, Toastmaster of the evening.
I think there's going to be at least a few other people that might say it, so you'll be okay. I would like to now move over to our next helper role, Andrew Bullock, who's going to be doing both Wordmaster and Listen Up. So Andrew Bullock, why don't you tell us all about your role?
Good evening. I am the Wordmaster, and our word of the day, this is a challenge for you to include this in all of your speaking parts, is the word finite. It's an adjective, meaning having limits or bounds. Now, we'll go ahead and post that in the chat. So you'll get a little recognition for every time you use the word finite in our meeting today. As well as being our word master, I'm also to listen up. and I'll be listening and watching for things to ask questions on and quiz you at the end of the meeting. So be sure you listen up. This is your evaluator.
All right, thank you, sir. And now Donna James, who's sitting over there looking pretty. How are you, Miss Donna James? You're muted, so we can't quite hear you.
I am lovely as usual, Robert.
So she's actually going to be evaluator 5, but she's also the timer. Could you please do a real brief description? I think every speech tonight is 5 to 7, except for the last one, which is 10 to 12.
Okay, so for my purpose as a timer is to help to keep the speaker on track to where he falls in his speech along with the time frame that he's been allotted. So if you are a 5 to 7 minute speaker, you're going to see some color visual cues that I will place in front of my Zoom camera for at least 10 to 15 seconds so that you can see that as you're doing your presentation. Starting at 5 minutes, you're going to see this green color. I hope everyone can see it.
Mm-hmm.
It will be visible for at least 10 seconds. Once you have arrived at 6 minutes, you're going to see this yellow sign to give you an idea of where you are in your speech. And then when you're at 7 minutes, you're going to see this nice bright red color, which means it's time for you to start wrapping your speech up. You have 30 seconds after seeing this red color to wrap up your speech and to end it. If you have a speech that is 10 to 12 minutes, as Robert pointed out, at 10 minutes, you're going to see green. At 11 minutes, you're going to see yellow. And at 12 minutes, you're going to see red. At that time, you have 30 seconds in which to wrap up your speech. For your table topics that are 1 to 2 minutes, you're going to see the following colors. Again, it's going to be in the color format of green, yellow, and red. Starting at 1 minute, you're going to see the green color with 10 seconds. You're going to see the yellow for 1 minute. For 1.5 minutes, you're going to see yellow. And then at 2 minutes, you're going to see red. And that gives you 30 seconds to wrap it up. Now, one of the things that I want to bring up to you is that as people are going off of the camera and onto the camera, my position within the Zoom may change. So it may be hard to follow along with me. So this is what I recommend that you do. When it gets time to watch, as if you're the speaker, pin me. And if you want to pin me, take your mouse, move it up to the corner, and you will see an ellipsis in blue. When you click on the ellipsis, you will see pin video. That locks me in as your visual. Once you have finished with your presentation, then you can unpin me and go back to speaker view to see whoever the subsequent speakers are. Is everyone in understanding? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Donna James. That was very thorough and very, very excellent. We don't always, like one time I stood up and at the timer and I said, I'm the timer, I time stuff, and I sat down. And so you did a little bit more than that, and we sincerely appreciate it. And I love the pin comment because I also love the fact that we can see you. It's not always easy to see people if you're speaking, you're only seeing yourself. Like pin the person, doesn't matter who's speaking, you're going to see them. But thank you, Madam Timer. The last helper of the night is going to be our table topics master, Ms. Gloria Henderson. If you could do me a quick favor, if you could unmute yourself, tell us what the role is and just, some quick information about it.
Definitely, sure. I will be your table topic masters. I will give members the opportunity to do impromptu speaking. You would have 1 to 2 minutes to speak. And so I have some really amazing topics for you all this evening. So I look forward to getting and sharing with you all and hearing your responses. Thank you.
Thank you, Gloria. I sincerely appreciate that. And thank you. She's actually, you know, from another club. She's an area director, so she actually came out just to visit us, and I love the fact that you picked that role. I gave her about 3 different roles. She's like, I'm gonna do tabletop tonight. I was like, all right, I'll put you up to the challenge. See how you're gonna do. I think she's gonna do great. All right, now I'm gonna pass it back over to our Toastmaster of the evening. Welcome back, everybody. This is Robert Riggs. I'm your Toastmaster of the evening. I got one final thing to say before we get into our speeches, and that's the theme of tonight's meeting. The theme of tonight's meeting is with great power comes great responsibility. Who's ever heard that before? Raise your hand. Absolutely. Who here has ever seen Spider-Man before? Raise your hand. That's where that comes from. With great power comes great responsibility. So tonight, whether you're giving a speech or just doing a table topic or whatever, I want you to say really quick, yes, it was Uncle Ben who died. Thank you, Jamard. But really quick, I would like you to say, you know, with great power, we come to Toastmasters to kind of take our power back about our own lives, to take responsibility for what's going on in our lives. So with that, we have a responsibility to ourselves as well as to others to try to grow as individuals and help them grow. So I want you to really quick, whenever you start speaking or whenever you're doing table topics or an evaluator or whatever role you have, just say really quick what you're doing, what's at least one thing that you're doing in your life to take back the power, and then what you're doing to become better because of it, or what you're doing to help somebody else become better, okay? So that's the responsibility part that we need to know about. As a matter of fact, it feels like we have a finite amount of power, but truth be told, the more we get, the more we realize that it can become infinite over time. Mr. Wordmaster, I hope you caught that one. Without further ado, I'd like to start with our speech introductions. Our first speaker of the evening is Mr. Lee Walker. He is giving his 3rd speech in Pathways. He's going to give his evaluation feedback number 2. So in the first part of evaluation and feedback, you're supposed to give a speech. You're supposed to get feedback from an evaluation, basically. And then you're supposed to use that to either give the same speech or construct a different speech with that evaluation material. So he's going to give a 5 to 7 minute speech. The title is Phi Kap Stories with Johnny G. Lee is working in Pathways Presentation Mastery L1, evaluation feedback number 2. He joined a fraternity while in college. Lee has maintained friendships with his fraternity brothers. Kudos for that. He will be telling about Johnny G.
John Damon Graham, Hopewell, Virginia, history major, class of 1989, Phi Kap, Randolph-Macon College. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, as I just told you, I went to Randolph-Macon College, in a fraternity Phi Kappa Sigma. One of my fraternity brothers, John Graham, met him in 1988, freshman year at the house, and we've been friends ever since, 30-some years. But I'm going to tonight tell you some stories I had along with John. We went on some concert trips, some road trips into Richmond. Randolph-Macon is just north of Richmond in a town called Ashland. So I wasn't that far to go to Richmond to see some bands. And one of my other fraternity brothers, Craig's like, you got to come down here and see this band with this lead singer. He plays the harmonica. They're a new band. Nobody knows him, but the guy's also playing the harmonica. Later, we found out that was the band Blues Traveler. Another band that we saw in the Richmond area, it was new on the scene. Was the band Fish, and we didn't know that at the time. And then John introduced me to the band The Grateful Dead. It's been around since the 1960s. Of course, they're from San Francisco, California, but I didn't know all that much about The Grateful Dead, but he had already been to several Dead shows. And so I was like, yeah, we'll get tickets. We can go to the Hampton Coliseum. For those of you who don't know, that's called the Mothership. And that was an experience going to the Hampton Coliseum, seeing the Grateful Dead. Actually, they weren't even billed as the Grateful Dead. They had to go under the name, a former band name of theirs, the Warlocks, because of activities they've done in past years. And then we went up to Meriwether Post in Maryland, to see the Allman Brothers band. We camped out at a campground. And then one Sunday afternoon, we were watching football, the Redskins and Cowboys, and the game was in Texas or in Dallas. And the Redskins happened to win, so we were all in a good mood. And then somebody's like, you know, the Stones are playing in D.C. tonight. Want to go? So we sat there a few minutes. Yeah, let's go. Who's going to buy the tickets? Who's got the beer? Who's doing this? So we took off because it's only an hour and a half from Ashland to D.C. So we went up there and saw the Rolling Stones. And I didn't know we scalped tickets, so we didn't really worry about where we were going to sit in the stadium, RFK Stadium. But as we walked around, I ran into another college classmate of mine, Billy Porter. He was actually working as an usher at the concert, so he's like, hey guys, just make sure you got a ticket, just come with me. Okay, so we're walking around, and he takes us down on the field. I'm like, we're down here on the field, but I can't see. Can we stand up in the chairs? And then one more dead show we went to was up in Landover, Maryland. We went to the Capitol Center. And I wanted to go to my classes that day. And I arranged a classmate of mine to drive me down to Richmond and get on the Greyhound bus. I earlier or previously purchased a ticket to get on the Greyhound bus. And I had another fraternity brother up in Northern Virginia pick me up at whatever station I needed to get off. And what I didn't realize is the Greyhound bus is not going to travel on Interstate 95. It's going to go through all the little towns on Route 1. So I was like freaking out going, I don't know where my stop is, but just tell me where my stop is. And so I finally got to my stop probably a couple hours later, and I saw my friend, my fraternity brother Mike, and I was so happy to see him because it seemed like forever on that Greyhound bus. It's going to so many stops in so many little towns. But we made it to the Capitol Center, and then Mike, one of his friends, had rented out one of the box suites. So we went up there and had food and drinks, hung out, watched the concert, and then drove back later that night. So these are just some of the stories that John and I done together over the years, several years ago, or years that ran off Macon, about 1988, 1989, 1990 time period. And over the years, I did keep up with John. He lived in the Richmond area. He got married a couple of times. I stayed here in Virginia Beach where I grew up. And over the years, I kind of lost track of it kind of in recent years. And he had some health issues, and I didn't really know the extent or seriousness of it until about 2008. One of my other fraternity brothers, Dave Howe, had been talking to the family and talking to John personally, finding out what's really going on. And I got some details and information, but I still didn't really understand what was going on. But John had some serious health issues with his liver and kidneys, and some of it was, most of it was probably hereditary, but it probably didn't help that he drank a lot of alcohol and did some other extracurricular activities while in college. And his father also had the problems with liver and kidneys as well. And I think his father passed away, and then we learned that John had kind of the same conditions. And as time went on, and I found out that John might not have much time left to live. I might not have much time to talk with him, see him, or visit him. And I made the decision one Friday to go see him in Hopewell on my way to Stanton for a JC meeting that weekend. And I guess John didn't really believe that I was going to go there, but I did it. I backtracked around 295, went to his house. He wasn't even there. So I was like, wait a minute, am I in the right house? I don't know if he's here or not. So I waited probably an hour. He does show up. He's surprised to see me, but as time went on, I got more than what I expected. I got to sit down one-on-one with John in his house, and now I don't really remember what we talked about, what all we did, but I think I just kind of sat there and listened to him talk about whatever he wanted to talk about and say. And I remember seeing him sitting on his couch. He was tired, he was exhausted, exasperated, and he even just said, he's like, Lee, I'm worn out. All this stuff is just wearing me out. People don't understand it, they don't get it, they want me to fight, they want me to do all these things, but they're not experiencing what I'm experiencing. And as I said, I think I just sat there and listened to him, because I didn't really know what words to say. I was just happy to be there with him. And a little while later, his first ex-wife, Kim Kaufman, who was actually a little sister of Phi Kap's, came by. I didn't know she was in town in Virginia. But she had moved away for a while. And so I got to sit down with both of them, one on two, I guess now. And I was thinking, you know, they still act like they're married even though they're not. And I got that valuable, quiet time with them. And that's more than I could ever expected from that situation. And then a little while later, probably a couple more hours, his mother comes over, because his mother, the house that John grew up in Hopewell on Mansion Drive, was just about 3 houses down. So he had ended up buying a house on the same street that he grew up on. And so I got to talk with his mother a little while. And then it was time for me to leave and head on to Stanton. And that's when things kind of really hit me, as I walked away and I said goodbye, we hugged, we shook hands, whatever. And I was walking toward my car, and I got to my car, and I turned around and I looked at John, and I got this feeling that that's it, Lee. This is the last time you're going to see or speak to John Graham. And I went on to Stanton. I did the JC convention that weekend and all, and I come back on Monday. I called another classmate, Harry Shank. He lives here in Virginia Beach. He was good friends of John, and I said, Harry, I saw John on Friday. It's Monday. You've either got to go today or tomorrow, Tuesday, or maybe the latest Wednesday, or you're not going to make it to talk to John or see him, because I think he's got that little time left. And so Harry made the decision, I guess, to go see him, because he called me a couple of days later and said, thank you, Lee. I went and I saw John, and of course a whole bunch of us, making people, Phi Kappa Sigma and some other fraternities got together at John's service in Hopewell. And all of these people were coming up to me, thank you, Lee, for letting me know about John, or letting me know what's going on. And I was like, you really need to go talk to Dave, because he's the one that got the details from the family. I just tried to pass on what Dave did, and I went and talked with John one-on-one, because that's what I wanted to do. And as I said, I got more than I expected. I didn't expect him to be there. I didn't expect to see his mother. I didn't really expect to have a quiet time with John, just saying whatever he wants, doing whatever he wants to do. And I remember I brought up things about the Grateful Dead. When he did come home, pull his car in the driveway, he jumped out, he's like, oh my God, there's Lee Walker. But I got my cufflinks, my Grateful Dead cufflinks for his shirt. He was so happy for that. And, you know, it just, the whole point I guess I'm trying to make in this presentation is enjoy the time you have with your family, your friends, your relationships, because you never know when the time is that, okay, this is it. And, you know, we had a lot of good times years ago, and over the years we kind of lost touch at different points in times. But when it matters and somebody needs your help, or they need you to reach out and you want to reach out and just talk to somebody and be there for somebody, even if it's just listening. Make the effort to do that, because he passed away in 2008, and so here it is 12 years later. I still can't believe it. I probably don't think about John every day, but I still think about him often. And, I'm just so grateful and thankful that I had that few hours with him on that Friday afternoon before I went off to do my JC activities and everything else I had planned for that weekend. But I etched out some time for John, and I'm so glad that I did that. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Lee. Thank you, Lee. I sincerely appreciate that. It was a wonderful speech. That's the first time I've actually seen you speak in a while. And needless to say, you definitely fulfilled your speaking quota, because we haven't seen you speak for a while. You definitely get at least 3 speeches there. So thank you, sir. Sincerely appreciate that. Now we would like to have 1 minute of silence, if that's okay. And we don't have evaluation sheets right now that we can hand to Lee, but what you can do at the bottom is you can click on the chat and go ahead and send Lee a private message. So you go under chat where it says, you might say everyone, click on that down, click on Lee's name, and you can go ahead and just send a private message to Lee. And that's the best thing that you can do. So go ahead and do that, and that will really give him a lot of good opportunities to learn from his mistakes and figure out what he can do better. Madam Timer, just
leave the meeting up about my other activities.
Okay. I would also like to ask the timer if she could do me a favor when she's actually holding up the timing card, just hold it up through the whole time. So the whole time it's green, and then when it turns to yellow, just put it down for a second and then hold it back up to yellow. So that way, and when somebody's at red, just hold it up the whole time. And I know your arm would have gotten tired for 7 minutes that you held it for the red, but please, do me a favor, just hold it up as much as you can.
All right.
Thank you, Madam Timer. I sincerely appreciate that. So I'll try to speed it up going forward, because we definitely are over time. So I'll try to make it as quick as we can. So our next speaker of the evening is Mr. Jay Bossicott. Jay is also giving his 3rd speech. That's evaluation feedback number 2. So he's going to learn from his previous speech. He gave his previous speech about 3-4 weeks ago. Is that right, Jay? I can't remember. It was somewhat recent. So he's going to give this. It's a different speech, but he's using the evaluation materials from that speech to learn to do better on this one. The speech title is "The Cats in the Cradle."
We still have a few seconds before the 2-minute time.
It's 1 minute time.
Oh, it's 1 minute time. Okay.
Yeah. So our next speaker is relating his experience to the classic song "Cats in the Cradle," while reminding everyone to appreciate those around them. This speech is a reminder to never take your loved ones for granted. Him and Lee did not notify each other ahead of time, by the way. Please welcome to the lectern, all day, every day, Jay.
Okay, there we go. Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. And the cat's in the cradle and the silver spoon, the little boy blue and the man on the moon. When you're coming home, Dad, I don't know when, but we'll get together then, yeah. I know we'll have a good time then. 1991, November 1st, was the day my dad and I first met. Carl Alex Bosico. He wanted people to say his name perfectly. When you're born, you find yourself in this dark abyss, and you climb out and you see light for the first time. You're surrounded by all these people. You don't know what they got planned for you, but you know you're here. And that time starts. I always admired my father growing up. He was smart, cool, funny, wise, and charismatic. Boy, was he charismatic. I remember we used to go to the barbershop, right? And now me personally, I would sit down, wait my turn, get my hair cut, and then I'd be on my way. Not this guy. He would literally sit there the whole time. listening to the conversation and waiting for his opportunity to jump in, like in double dutch. And then bam, seamlessly enters the conversation, and in 2 minutes is leading the conversation like he started it, talking about social issues, politics, freaking culture, whatever was popular at the time. And then all the people who was just having the conversation is now just sitting and listening to this man talk. That's the type of man he was. See, in my childhood, my dad was in Haiti most of the time. It wasn't up until he settled here that we actually got to see him on a consistent basis. We had a regular father and son relationship. He provided, I received. That was about it. We didn't go fishing. We didn't play ball. We didn't really hang out. Occasionally, we would watch movies, but he'd be on the phone a lot of the time, then he wouldn't be fully engaged. But as time moved on, and the more we didn't, time continued to tick and sing. The cat's in the cradle and the silver spoon. The little boy blue and the man on the moon. When you're coming home, Dad, I don't know when, but we'll get together then, yeah. I know we'll have a good time then. 2007, August 15th, my sister goes off to college. I was in high school at the time, and luckily for me, the high school was right next to where my dad stayed, so we spent a little bit more time with each other. Now, we didn't seem to have much in common because he was my dad, I was his son, and again, that was about it. But finally, when I was old enough to drive, we had our moment. He taught me everything I knew about driving, how to back up, how to parallel park, how to three-point turn, how to change a tire, how to jump start a car, everything a teenager would need to know to get on the road. And it was good finally having that connection. A couple years after, we drove to my sister's graduation. Now, this was the first time me and my dad didn't let any distractions take place. He wasn't on the phone, I wasn't texting, and we actually spoke. I learned he was a huge fan of Bob Marley, and back in the day, he wore dreadlocks. Something to this day I just can't even picture. But throughout the entire drive, we listened to Bob Marley's Uprising album. The Zion train is coming our way. We job people can make it work. We can make it work. Could you be loved? Then be loved. Not knowing at that time, we both were more alike than we thought. Both revolutionaries in our own right, but so far from understanding each other. And the cat's in the cradle and the silver spoon, the little boy blue and the man on the moon. When you're coming home, Dad, I don't know when, but we'll get together then, yeah. I know you'll have a good time then. 2015, March 14th, I graduated college, and now I'm facing the real world. I'm jumping from job to job, trying to find my calling in life, and suddenly the family, everybody wants to hang out, everyone wants to call, everyone wanted too much. My dad was constantly calling me saying, we should hang out. I haven't heard from you. And I would tell him we will, but I just had a couple things I gotta take care of. Everything was fast paced. I felt too overwhelmed. But I could have taken a breather and I could have given him a call. 2018, April 1st, Easter Sunday. My dad calls, Jay, are you in the area? Do you want me to come over? I just came off of work. I'm trying to relax, trying to play some Xbox, kill some time by killing some people. I really didn't. I'm just trying to chill. So I hesitated. And then I said, yeah, sure, you could come over. Okay, I'm coming now. And he hurried over. He came in with a look of excitement and happiness that I haven't seen on his face in years. He told me that he heard the best sermon he's ever come across, and that he felt from God that he was doing the right thing in life. He told me that he was proud of my sisters that we were independent and not in a position to rely on our parents like his nieces and nephews in Haiti. He began to speak about how he grew up around kids who would get women pregnant in Haiti and leave them, saying that it wasn't their responsibility. And that when my eldest sister was born, that he told his friends he would take care of her, and that their way of thinking was what was holding the country back, and that he would be the one to make the change. He had such a look of eagerness on his face that I had to pay attention to every word. And the last words he said to me that day were, "Jay, we have to have more talks like this." And I told him, "Yeah, we will." And throughout that entire week, I kept thinking, I gotta call Pops. I gotta have this conversation with him. But as usual, I got busy and I started to put it off. And in 2018, April 5th, at 5:00 a.m., I received the call that he passed away. And the cat's in the cradle and the silver spoon, the little boy blue and the man on the moon. When you're coming home, Dad, I don't know when, but we'll get together then, yeah. I know we'll have a good time then. Cherish every moment that you have with your significant others. Time stops for no one. It has strict rules. It doesn't favor one person over the other. We never realize how finite our time is here on this earth. I remember I used to listen to the song and think, damn, this is dark. I never thought I'd live it. Appreciate everyone you have, because you don't know how long you have them for. Mr. Toastmaster.
I think I can be the first one to say, and maybe I'm partial because I'm your mentor, but that's the best speech you've given yet. I'm sorry, but that's the best speech you've given yet. So, touche, sir. If you could please have 1 minute on the clock really quick for evaluations. Everybody go ahead and go to the chat screen at the bottom, and you can send a private message to Jay for how you think he did, okay? Now, the next thing I'd like to mention during our minute of evaluations is that Cleo is up next. So if you could get everyone to put her in speaker view. She's asking us to put her in speaker view. She's going to be using OBS to share her PowerPoint. So right now you may be in gallery view. Try to put her in speaker view where it's just her, and she will be up next in a minute.
1 minute.
Thank you, Madam Timer, and I sincerely appreciate you also holding it up. I know your arm was getting tired near the end, but thank you. All right, our next speaker, speaker number 3, is going to be the one and only Miss Cleo Robertson. Recently got her level 1 after 2 years in Toastmasters. It took her a little while, but we got her there. And now she's working on her level 2. Pathways Innovative Planning, level 2, understand your leadership style, 5 to 7 minutes. I've done this speech before, it's not easy. What does Harry Potter have to do with Cleo's leadership style? Well, actually, that's what she's asking us right now. You can see in her banner. Cleo is going to tell you what Harry Potter has to do with her leadership style. Her top 2 leadership styles are democratic and innovative. But what does this have to do with Harry Potter? That's a good question. Hold your broomsticks. She's going to tell you. Everyone, please welcome Toastmaster Cleo Robertson.
Or yet, in wise old Ravenclaw, if you've a ready mind, where those of wit and learning will always find their kind. Or so says the Sorting Hat in Hogwarts from the Harry Potter series. Now, greetings, fellow Toastmasters and guests. You may have guessed that I was sorted into Ravenclaw, one of the houses in the Harry Potter series. And if you're interested in finding out which house you will be in, I encourage you to go to wizardingworld.com Where yesterday I took the quiz, but actually years ago I took the quiz on Pottermore and they migrated over to Wizarding World. So I highly encourage you to take the quiz if you want to know which house you're in. Now, I haven't talked about yet what this has to do with my leadership style. I'll get to it. But first, I want to do a poll. And if Andrew could put up the poll that I created, I want everyone to let me know which house you want to be in Hogwarts. Andrew, can you put the poll up?
It's already running.
Okay. I'll give you all 10 seconds. All right, Andrew, can you share the results? I cannot, unfortunately, I cannot see the poll results. Can you let me know what the top house is?
The top house is I don't know at 50%.
All right, I don't know. Well, hopefully during this speech, you'll at least learn a little bit about Ravenclaw, and I encourage all of you to take that quiz on Wizarding World. All right, so now I'm gonna go into the second part of my speech, where I'm gonna talk about some of the famous people, and eventually in this section, it's gonna lead into my leadership style, okay? All right, so there are some famous members. If you've watched the movies or read the books, you may be familiar with Cho Chang, Professor Trelawney with her amazing hair and penetrating stare, Luna Lovegood, one of my favorites, if not favorite character in Harry Potter, Luna, my queen. And yes, I did do some photo manipulation and I put a crown on her head. She is one of my favorite characters in Harry Potter. And last but certainly not least, I want to point out or highlight Rowena Ravenclaw. She is the one that founded the house. She prizes learning above all else. Now I want you all to remember the word learning, because this is going to relate to my leadership style. Remember everyone, learning. Speaking of my leadership style, here it is. I took the quiz or survey on Toastmasters International, and here's my score. I'm definitely not going to go down the list and say all of the names or all of the scores, because we have a finite amount of time for this speech. But I want to highlight the top two, democratic and innovative. And I'm going to relate to you all how this has to do with Harry Potter and my house, Ravenclaw. Democratic. In the democratic style, consensus decision-making is key. Participation is highly prized. And input is valued through collaboration and communication. I love learning. I love learning from other people. Remember the word learning I told you about earlier? In this style, I am learning a lot from everyone. And this style basically takes advantage of the expertise of the team. I am there trying to soak up in the collaborative atmosphere. I'm trying to soak up everything from my teammates so that I'm taking notes. I'm taking notes, I'm taking notes literally or figuratively, and I'm storing them in my mind. So democratic style of leadership is one of my favorite styles. So I'm learning a lot. And I have a message from my prefect, Robert Hilliard, who welcomed me into Ravenclaw. And this has to do with the fact that I love learning from others, love collaborating with others, love hearing people's opinions. The message is, this is what Ravenclaw say: believe what you want, say what you feel. We aren't put off by people who march to a different tune. In fact, on the contrary, we value them. Again, we are not put off by people who march to a different tune. On the contrary, we value them. I value your opinion. My second leadership style, innovative. In that style, you share a vision and you pursue excellence to basically achieve that vision. I love innovative ideas. And I have a great respect for creativity. In fact, there's a member here, Zachary, who is a music creative, and he has been sharing with me all types of musicians, and I'm obsessed with Miles Davis right now, and I've learned so much from him. So I really, really do value creatives and creativity. Innovative style of leadership is all about collaborative conversation. Again, remember, I love learning from people. And this style is great for solving complex problems. One last message from the prefect, Robert Hilliard, who welcomed me into Ravenclaw. Most of the greatest wizarding inventors and innovators were in our house, House Ravenclaw. Thank you, everyone, for listening to my speech on my leadership style and how it relates to Ravenclaw from Harry Potter. Here are my ending credits. Thank you and have a wonderful evening. Back to you, Toastmaster of the evening.
Thank you, Admin Cleo. That was wonderful. And I honestly can say that now I understand my boss a little better because he is clearly a Ravenclaw and I'm a Gryffindor. So I honestly, if I had to say that's what it was, 100%. Like, yeah, he clearly is a, let me think about how to get the best solution to this problem. Like, no, solve now, leader, move forward. So wonderful. I loved it. Very good job. Very good job. I would like to also welcome real quick. So 1 minute, please, on the clock, if we could. 1 minute for evaluations. Again, you can send via chat what you thought about Cleo's speech to her. We'd also, David was just texting me at some point, we would love to learn how you do these crazy things like split screens with your camera views, because we want to know how you do all this cool presentation stuff. So at some point,
First I have to do the YouTube thing, I promised Lynn. First.
Fair enough,
And then we can talk about the OBS thing.
All right, fair enough, fair enough. I also want to welcome, there's two individuals. One snuck in about 10 minutes ago, and that's April Batts, and another one's Bryant Verano. So we'll get a chance to chat with them a little bit at the break. So everybody just keep going and sending in your information, and we'll get the your evaluation for Cleo, and then we'll go ahead and get on to the next speech real quick.
It's 1 minute.
Thank you, Ms. Donna James. Our fourth speaker of the evening is the one, the only Miss Elizabeth Clare. She has ACG, ALB, and MS2 by her name. She's actually been in Toastmasters for over 30 years, so she's collected a lot of those little signature things next to it. She is doing a level 3 speech, motivational strategies, understanding emotional intelligence. It's 5 to 7 minutes. Her speech title is The Roller Coaster Ride. Elizabeth Clare is speaking from Pathways Speech Level 3, Understanding Emotional Intelligence. This speech project required Elizabeth to keep an emotional journal for 2 weeks to become more aware of how one's emotions interact with relationships and communication. Please welcome to the lecture, to the one, the only, the glorious, the beautiful, the very wise Elizabeth Clare.
Thank you so much, Mr. Toastmaster, General Evaluator, and President. Excuse me, my dog wants to not hear me. Who has ever ridden on a roller coaster? Raise your hand. Okay, good. So I want you to remember, hush. I want you to remember the different feelings you had. First is the very first time you rode on a roller coaster. You walked up to get your ticket, or somebody bought your ticket, you had a certain feeling. And then when you got in the little car, you had a certain feeling. And put yourself in the feeling as you're going up that first big hill, click, 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 click. Notice that feeling inside you. And now you're at the top and you can see all over the whole carnival or wherever this roller coaster is. And then down. Did you scream? How many of you screamed? Right? Anyway, roller coaster. How many of you threw up afterwards? Who here has been on an emotional roller coaster? Top of the world one day, Then something happens in the great downward plunge, not with screams, most likely, but with negative emotion, maybe anger, loss, maybe guilt, fear, despair. Anyone done that? The idea for this project was for me to keep a diary of emotions and to notice how I dealt with relationships when I was in different emotions and how other people dealt with me. And so here's the story. Back in January, I bought my ticket for an unknown roller coaster. I agreed to sell my newspaper business to my managing editor. I built the business from scratch, writing and publishing a monthly newspaper for immigrants and selling it to schools for the past 25 years. Things were going so great in January. I was filled with good sensations, looking forward to retiring the end of May. I was out of debt. I had feelings of security. All is well. Life is good. And in January and February, I was happy, looking forward to all the things that I would be doing when I retired. See my family more, help my grandchildren, see movies, read mysteries, do more Toastmasters, make more friends. And these lovely thoughts gave me lovely emotions. And those thoughts were a trigger to give me a lot of energy and spirit. Every day was pretty good. Lots of work to do. You have to excuse me a minute. Okay. I was cheerful with everyone, including telemarketers, and even with Robert Riggs. And then in March, my granddaughter, that I was going to help when I made the money from selling the newspaper, committed suicide. And I experienced the emotion of disbelief. I tried changing the story. Maybe she was only pretending. It was a terrible emotion, with what seemed like poison flowing through my veins, not being able to turn back the clock, to stop her before she did that. Thinking of my son's heartbreak broke my heart as well. I felt great distress for my great-granddaughter, who was just 6, the same age I was when I lost my father. I couldn't get to the funeral because COVID-19 had already kicked in, and I wanted to be there, and the feelings were wrenching. The emotions were being torn apart. And the thoughts of my granddaughter were a trigger for guilt, denial, anger, blame, sorrow, and a feeling of purposelessness. So instead of my life is good bubbling up, what was there? Like there's no purpose to the future. The future looked so blah. My granddaughter had been in many of my fantasies, and now it seemed nothing to look forward to. But because I was publishing a newspaper each month, there was work to do. I had to sit down and handle it, get to work. And my relationships with other people took a turn. In March, when COVID-19 started turning things down, shutting things down, it got worse and worse. So I confined myself to my house. I became paranoid about losing anyone else in the family to suicide because of COVID. My sons and daughters-in-law had lost their jobs. I reached into my savings and sent it to my family because I was afraid they would get depressed if they couldn't pay their bills. I thought it didn't matter if I had no money because I may die of COVID-19 sooner rather than later. It was more important to keep my family alive. With schools closing, my business collapsed. March, April, May, and June. Are you laughing or crying yet? Sometimes in Shakespeare, they have to have a little comedy scene to break up all the tragedy. People canceled subscriptions, and I watched the money drain out. Now there was no business to sell. And there went that nice plan of retiring with an income, a business with customers who don't want the newspapers, can't be sold. We'll just be one of the 300,000 small businesses that have gone out of business. No shame. The employees begged, you can't give up this paper. The teachers want it. What will they do without it? In reality, I knew what my employees wanted. They didn't want to lose their jobs. So with states strapped for money, schools would not have the funds to buy my newspaper, even if we could find a way. So I am easily pushed around by others' needs and emotions, which is what I learned. Have I put you into the doldrums? Are you thinking of your own COVID-19 losses and deprivations? The employees were adamant. So I applied for a PP loan from the government. I got it. It lasted another 8 weeks. Came to the end of June, and I had to lay them off. So what I've learned, I have a full gamut of emotions I hadn't even thought about. Joy, tranquility, satisfaction, shock, sadness, fear, disgust, hope, resignations, and many more. They come from the events and from the thoughts that pop into my head or that others put into my head. The moral of this story for Toastmasters, when we speak to others, especially if we want to motivate them to do something, check on their feelings before you pounce on them. Listen carefully to what's going on with them. Modify your request to meet their emotional state. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Elizabeth. I was on a little bit of an emotional roller coaster myself just listening to that speech. So that was beautiful. That was no, I loved it. Every minute of it. That was beautiful. We please have 1 minute of silence now. If we can go ahead and give some evaluations for Elizabeth. And I would also like to ask Ms. Cleo Robertson if she could private message Donna and give her some instructions on how to use a color filter on her Zoom screen so that way we can still see the color of her Zoom screen.
She would need either a good computer. Are you talking about the green screen thing? Or the? Yes. She would need either a good computer that can do that or a green screen behind her.
Okay, so we'll just ask her to hold up the phone in the in-room. We'll figure it out next time in advance.
Yeah, with the whole screen being red, I couldn't see the people if they were listening. I lost sight of the audience. All I saw was yellow and then red.
We still going for a minute? I think you're on mute, unfortunately.
Yes, it's a minute.
All right, thank you. Excellent. And I do apologize to everybody. I know we're running about 15 minutes behind. The next speaker, we've been trying to get him to give this speech since, I want to say April. So I am not going to bump his speech. I'm sorry, Hans, but you know, last week we were trying to get him to speak, but I'm not going to do it. So he's going to speak. Gosh darn it. With that being said, so we'll just unfortunately have to put a little time on the end, but we'll go ahead and get Hans' speech in, and then we'll go straight into table topics. All right, Hans is the final speaker of tonight. He's giving is actually technically not an L5 speech. This is actually a speech that you give after you've given everything else in pathways. And once you've gone through an entire path, his is actually visionary communication. At the very end, you then have to reflect on your path and what you learned from it. So this is actually a 10 to 12 minute speech. Hans goes a little short. I don't think anybody's gonna mind. So his speech title is, I'm done now. Okay, well, did I at least learn something? Our fifth and final speaker of the evening is Hans Peter Johidle. In tonight's speech, Hans completes his Pathways Visionary Communication path and is looking back at what he learned along the way. Please help me welcome to the lectern, Hans Peter Johidle.
Good evening, Mr. Toastmasters, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests. What did Hans learn? Did he actually draw any lessons learned from the path he just went through? Let me think about that for about 10 minutes and I'll get back to you what I learned. In the meantime, I'll tell you about, through a quick recap, what the Visionary Community Path was all about. I started in early January 2018, and I do remember giving a third or fourth icebreaker, I'm not really sure which one, and griping about it. Why do I have to give another one? The problem was that the first one was given in 2004, and that was 2018. A lot of things have changed in 14 years. For starters, I got remarried and I became a grandfather. Now, I highly recommend the gig as a grandfather. You know, it comes with all the good stuff and none of the bad stuff. You can hand it back to the rightful owners when you're done playing with them. But getting back to where I was at, when you have to step out and do your second icebreaker on your path to DTM, stop your whining and Nike it. That's just do it. There are many new Toastmasters that have never heard the story of you. Next on the list was evaluation and feedback, which took 5 to 7 months to get around to respectively. Normally not exactly what you would like to do. As Robert and I find out at VPE and VPM, the Virginia Beach Toastmaster, you should normally not go more than about a month, month and a half in between speeches as you lose momentum along the way. Over the years, and Toastmasters, almost 16 years now, there are a lot of reasons why people leave Toastmasters, and it's primarily because it doesn't fill the void you were looking to fill in the first place. And not speaking, I believe, is one of the major contributions to why people leave Toastmasters. Back to my evaluation and feedback. The first one was titled, All Those Memories from Yesteryear. And it's about saving all the pictures from years gone by. I'm not talking about the photos that are on your iPhone or Android. I'm talking about photo albums from your parents. They're collecting dust in cabinets, and what do you would like to do with all of those memories? I will hopefully that you would like to digitize them. And there's multiple ways of doing it, but you have to get off your duff and do it. That's my problem. What do you want to do? Make a movie, make a website. WordPress makes it very easy for you to save everything from pictures to text. Text? Who said anything about text? Trust me, you want to add some words about it because as memory fades, so does the importance of the pictures you have. I have thousands of images with no really memory of what it's about. However, the further along I get, and I'm no further along the way than I was 2 years ago with 25 gigabytes of pictures and a growing collection. In the second speech, for whatever reason, I decided to deviate from taking feedback from the first one and going into the second one. Instead, I proposed to buy a camera in Virginia Beach Toastmasters. I was shut down hard. What did I learn? Simply to grease the skids before I'm talking about spending money in volunteer organization. Since we're currently on the internet, it's easy to record. But if we go back to speaking face-to-face, I would suggest we use a camera. You can't use a personal camera. It's not sustainable. And we do need to record the speeches. Donna may be hard on me in her evaluation after my speech, but I'm 10 times harder on myself than Donna will ever be. The last speech in level 1, I researched and presented how to guess the best travel deal. Vegas, baby, was my title. I'm sure you can get a better deal now, as everybody's really hurting. But it's amazing the amount of money you can save if you're willing to do a little research. Travel, hotels, and major ticket items going to Vegas or New York, but taking in a show or 2 or 3, if you go to the local sources like ticket brokers and concierge, they're always full of tips. Level 2 is all about leadership. My speeches were not really President U. Hitler, yeah, right. And the second one was confrontational. Who would have known? The last speech was about mentoring. It's about introducing my mentor, retired Colonel Lisa Bennett. So what did I learn from this? Simply, I'm not everyone's cup of tea. I'm a solitude person, and I'm fine with that. If I will fight for what I think is right, and toes will be stepped on. Get used to it. In level 3, I chose to talk about visual aids. For most people, that's using PowerPoint. I am an instructional designer by trade, and I hate PowerPoint. I truly hate PowerPoint. Most people can make a dazzling presentation that says nothing. They're more concerned about transitions, making look great, than what's actually on the slide. I followed that presentation up on how to make effective visual presentation by concentrating on the truly important facts in your message. A black and white slide with a kick-ass message is better than one that is drowned in color and whiz-bang transitions. In the military, there's an expression that his or her knowledge is only PowerPoint deep, which basically means the frame of reference is that specific briefing or nothing more. I'm sorry if your source of information is the evening news or, God forbid, CNN, NBC, or Fox. You're misinformed. It takes a little more effort than that. In level 4, I completed a blog at work, and I presented a project that should prepare me to speak professionally. Why? I didn't like any of the other projects. I spoke about polar explorers Roald Amundsen and Robert Falcon Scott in their race for the South Pole in 1912 to 1913. It's an interesting story. Level 5 is all about this, an evaluation of what you did. And so what did I learn? Number 1, I was a very vocal critic of Toastmasters pathway curriculum. As an instructionalist designer, I thought I did a poor job. In the 2 years, I moderated it a little bit. A lot of work remains, and yes, I'm willing to consult for a fee. Number 2, I'm still very impatient to like things my way. I think everyone can attest to that. It's not like I can't be persuaded though, but you better come armed with facts and data. Number 3, I will never be a great speaker. I'm average at best, but as long as Toastmasters is fun, I will continue to speak and enjoy the process. I'm a much better researcher, which is why I'm an instructional designer. Number 4, never wing it. Doesn't work, at least not for me. Remember, there are always 3 speeches in play. The speech you plan to give, the speech you gave, and the speech you wish you gave. They will never be the same. Okay, I'm at the end of one path, and I should choose a new one pretty shortly. To be truly honest, I want to do something that's completely out of my comfort zone. Unless you do something that makes you uncomfortable, you won't grow. It's been a privilege. I hopefully will continue to not dazzle your ears, but at least challenge your assumption. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Hans. Thank you. I knew you were struggling with that speech. You didn't want to give it, but I actually really enjoyed that. So, touche, sir, touche. All right, Miss Donna James, if you could just have one real quick minute on the clock for evaluations we can send in the chat session or private messages to Hans, and then we will get a quick timer report and learn who actually is qualifying for voting.
1 minute.
Thank you. All right, now I would like to go and get a timers report. Donna, you've done a wonderful job tonight. Thank you for being creative and trying some new things, because it's not always being a timer or a virtual session. So I know you're kind of sitting there like, this is so frustrating, but you really are doing a good job, so thank you. Now, Hans's speech was not 5 to 7, it was actually 10 to 12. So real quick, can you tell me what is Hans's time first?
9 minutes, 28 seconds.
Okay, so Hans, you by 2 seconds, I think you missed under your time. But we'll go ahead and from Donna, if we could hear everybody else's time.
Lee Walker, 12 minutes, 51 seconds. Jamard Bossakat, 8 minutes, 39 seconds. Cleo Robertson, 7 minutes, 1 second. Elizabeth Clare, 7 minutes, 45 seconds. And Hans is 9 minutes, 28 seconds.
Hans, do you want to request a special discompensation based upon the timing cards?
You know, like I was given a red light, I went by the lights.
Okay.
The red light up there.
So I'm going to say that we were going to allow Hans to qualify. Does anybody have any issue with that?
No.
Okay. So we'll go ahead and give it to Hans based on the timing lights. Hans qualifies, and we're going to have the other person who qualifies as Cleo. So it's between Hans and Cleo. If we can have a...
Can you give me a moment? Because I have to change the poll. Okay.
All right, no problem. So just get a minute, and then we're actually going to have a virtual poll that Cleo's going to put up, and that's how we're going to vote for who the best speaker is. In our club, we actually like to vote for best speaker, best table topics, and best evaluator. Whoever wins in an actual, like, real-world environment, we give them ribbons. Yay, ribbons! But unfortunately, around here, we just give them words of praise. Yay, words of praise! So we'll go ahead and wait for Cleo to get the poll up, and then we'll move on to our next section. And we also normally do a little bit of a break around this time, but since we're so behind, I'll have to skip over the break, unfortunately. But if you do have to go to the bathroom, or do anything real quick, just mute yourself, or walk away and come right back, and we'll come back to our table topic session.
All right, Andrew, can you launch the poll? I can't launch the poll.
There we go.
Yeah, you weren't supposed to remove the names from the second question. Oh well.
Wait. Oops.
Yeah, it's all good. I launched it anyway.
Okay, so in the first part is who do you think is best speaker? That's a radio button. You can only choose Cleo or Hans, okay? Either one. Now, the second part, it says here, if you think anybody that spoke should actually put on YouTube. So if you also think that, for example, Elizabeth Clare or Lee Walker or Jamar J. Bosakat can be put on, if they'd be good as an example to be put on YouTube. I personally love Jay's speech, and I also love Elizabeth's speech. So if you want to go ahead and just text Cleo, say, I want to see Elizabeth's speech and anybody else's speech put on YouTube, just say that, okay?
I have ended the polling.
All right, excellent. Without further ado, we're going to move on to the next portion of our meeting. I do apologize to the guests. Normally, like I said, we don't go this far over with our time, so we are running a little bit behind, but we'll go ahead and try to make it up real quick. Miss Gloria has chosen to give 3 to 4 table topics based upon how everybody goes and answers. I'd like to hand it over to our table topics master of the evening real quick, Miss Gloria.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. So a few questions, and I would like to, I'm told I can select someone, and I would like to select Brian. Are you available?
Sorry, not right now.
Okay, that's no problem. How about I do this? Are there any volunteers? First, do I have a volunteer?
Oh, pick me, pick me, pick me.
Gerard also has his hand up.
Otherwise,
I think you have 2.
Okay, Gerard. Gerard, are you ready?
I am.
Okay. If you were offered $50,000 to dance for 2 minutes with no music in front of the stadium full of a lot of people, what would you do? And what type of dancing would you do?
Very interesting because that actually happened to me. It was $75,000. No, I'm kidding. But no, okay. Yes, I'm ready. I'm ready to begin. All right. So it's obviously a situation in which people can have a lot of pressure on them. If you ever get a moment, you're kind of thrown in there. You have a finite amount of time to really prepare yourself, but you're really, really drawn to the money, because you might have a finite amount of money in your pocket, but this is a large sum of money that you're actually offered to do this. So if I had that opportunity, I would certainly try to break dance. It's something I used to do when I was younger, and I still feel like I have a few moves. So I would probably try to break dance. I would try to get some crowd participation, maybe some other folks kind of gather around in the circle. I know you've seen that movie, those movies when everybody kind of gets going and gets the head bobbing and get a little bit more crowd participation. I may even offer to give somebody a little cut of the money if they help me to make my routine a little bit better. But I personally don't really have a big problem with going out in front of folks, because I always think that everybody's laughing with me and not at me. So that works so well. So that's what I would do.
Awesome. Thank you. Nice, nice, nice. Breakdancing. I remember watching that movie when breakdancing first came out. It's truly, really, really good dancing. All right, do I have another volunteer? I'll give you a second and I will select someone. And so my screen is freezing up. So that's the other issue. So I'm going to select Zach. You ready, Zach?
Yeah.
Name one task that you would like to accomplish while sleeping.
Well, the one task I'd like to accomplish while sleeping is actually making money. I'm a big fan of, I'm actually in this coaching program, and one of the aspects is talking about like what's called multiple sources of income, and you can earn, active income, like going to a job and, trading your time for money, or you can do what's called passive income. And that can be anything from like investing to all sorts of other stuff, like internet marketing, lots of other internet related jobs. And that you can do 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even on holidays. And it sounds like a great option. I've thought of several options. I've thought of, like I said, internet marketing. I've thought of copywriting, which is, doing ads for other people. But there's plenty of other options. Like I've said in a couple speeches ago, I want to start my own YouTube channel. I'm getting around to doing that. A lot of it's like the confidence, like the speaking skills I'm doing right now, and, just saying it off the cuff, because I don't really want to do a whole lot of editing. But having said that, the more views I get, the more ad revenue. And so really, like, I want to earn money, passively while I sleep. This Topics Master.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Make money while we sleeping. That's what it's all about. Andrew, you available, Andrew?
Yes, I am.
So what would you do if you were given the world-class hacking knowledge and ability?
Now that is a fascinating question, Madam Table Topics Master. As it happens, my son is a hacker. And he has been making use of his skills of late and being a plague to the existence of annoying people. Now, what do I mean by that? Someone tried to hack one of his accounts yesterday, so he decided to flood their network with so much traffic their internet shut down. Now, I'm not saying that I would be that kind of person. I think I would only use my hacking powers for good. Now, I am a computer technician. I deal with the hardware side of things. Programming is a completely different language to me. But I do understand the applications of programming and hacking. And I would use my skills to help law enforcement or even create programs for various needs, but as a way of a public service more so than anything else. Topics Master.
All right, thank you, Andrew. Interesting, interesting. Okay, one final question. Let's see. Merrick. The new law requires everyone must have a full body tattoo. Describe your tattoo that you would have, that you would put all over your body. The new law requires that everyone must have a full body tattoo. Describe your tattoo that you would place over your body.
Thank you, Mrs. Table Topics Master. If I had to have a full body tattoo, I believe it would be an octopus. And the reason why is because when I lived in Turkey once for a year, I started scuba diving. And the most interesting animal I'd ever seen in the ocean was an octopus. The way that they were able to move and change colors and go from one place to the other and ink and hide from their opponents as prey would be a really interesting animal to have. And I could just imagine, because I wouldn't tattoo my face. I guess if it's full body, I may have to, but I'd get the tattoo of an octopus head on my back with the tentacles and all the arms around my arms and around my legs. So it would look like something out of a Silence of the Lambs kind of movie with all the tattoos. And because an octopus is such a creepy looking animal, I assume that when I would go to the beach or go scuba diving and I'm in the water, I would probably freak octopus out with my tattoos by swimming around with no shirt on, or like they do in Europe, completely nude. So if I had to have a tattoo, and it had to be a full body tattoo, I think it would be an octopus, because octopus are cool and they have lots of arms. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you so much. All right, thank you. This concludes table topics, and I will now turn back over to our Toastmaster of the evening. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Madam Table Topics Master. That was wonderful, and it was also quick. So I love that part about it, and I also love the questions. We actually had 4 people. Gerard was here for 1 minute and 10 seconds. Donna had to step away, unfortunately, so I took over the timing duties. But Gerard was 1 minute and 10 seconds. Zach, you had 1 minute 20 seconds. Andrew was 1 minute and 5 seconds, and Merrick was 1 minute and 17 seconds. So every single person qualifies. We can go ahead and have a quick poll. We can go ahead and get a vote for best table topics.
Can you list out the names again? Because I was not.
Sure, it's Gerard.
Okay.
Then we have Zach. And then we have Andrew. And then we have Merrick. All qualify.
How do you spell Merrick?
Merrick.
And Gerard.
Gerard.
No, wait.
Gerard.
Do you want to vote after we do the evaluations, because it might take a little while for me to edit this, and we're kind of running. Okay.
Absolutely. Let's go. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it now over to our general evaluator. He'll be right back. All right, everybody, and welcome back. I'm your general evaluator for this evening. I'm going to go ahead and do a lightning quick evaluation round. We actually have a total of 5 evaluators, and we're going to hear from 4 of them verbally, and Donna James is me doing a written evaluation for Han. So we're only going to get C4 evaluators, okay? And that's the only ones we're going to be able to vote for, assuming that they're available via the time. First, we're going to go ahead for our speaker number 1, Lee Walker. Our first evaluator is Mr. David Marshall. So David, please unmute yourself and let us know what you thought of Lee's speech for 2 to 3 minutes.
Good evening, everyone. Responsibility. So I think we have a responsibility as Toastmasters to do our very best, get out of our comfort zones, learn as much as we can, and be ourselves, because when we are ourselves, that gives everyone else the freedom to be themselves, and we can all learn from each other. So that's my little spiel. Hopefully I said that right on responsibility. And so as far as Lee's speech tonight, I think he did a good job compared to his evaluation that he received for his last speech. Just a quick summary of his last evaluation. The evaluator said that he should conclude with a takeaway, work on his audio visual, face the camera, and work on his eye contact. I think Lee excelled on a little bit better eye contact. He did on occasion look down at the phone to make that eye contact. He showed emotion. It was obvious that the stories that he told in his speech was very personal to him, and he had fun with his friends and his fraternity brothers, and it really showed in his speech. He had a really good takeaway at the end, so he definitely did use that part of the evaluation from his last speech. And he did seem comfortable speaking. He did seem like he definitely showed the emotion, and he expressed the fun and the camaraderie he had with his fraternity brothers. I would challenge Lee to work on learning the audio visual, practicing saying speeches in front of a camera, maybe learn how to set up his phone so that it's set up, and then we can see his full expression, maybe see some hand gestures, and the jerking around of while he was holding the phone, that was very distracting, and it was kind of low looking up, so that wasn't very, really couldn't see his full facial features. So that's what something I would challenge Lee to do, is to learn how to get effective video recordings, learn about his audio, and the audio was very shaky, so maybe practice more on saying his speeches in front of a phone or a camera, and just practice those recordings. So that's my evaluation. Sounds like he had great stories, but I think he needs to work on working with media. Mr. General Evaluator.
All right, thank you, sir. That was excellent. Very good. And I will go ahead and pass along your time to our timer, Donna, who is back. And we were now going to move on to the next evaluator, evaluating our second speaker. Our second speaker was Jay Bossakan. He's going to be evaluated by the one, the only Mr. Merritt Green. Why don't you go and tell us what you thought of Jay's speech?
All right, so for a while now, I've been trying to figure out how I was going to lead this evaluation with a song, but I'm not going to copy Jay and try to sing through the beginning of my evaluation. So Jay, I thought your speech was amazing, first of all. The fact that you led the speech with a song was a great attention getter, because I was trying to figure out exactly what you were trying to do when you started singing. And then I wondered, is he going to sing this entire speech, or is he going to leave it to our imagination? But I thought it was a great way to grab our attention as soon as you started to speak, and to pull us in to figure out what else you had to say. I thought you had really good reactions. So your facial expressions, it's really hard to, in a Zoom meeting, get to see the full body language, but you worked really well with your hands. You worked really well with your expressions. I also noticed and took really good notice to when you came out of the womb and you were crawling. And I thought that was pretty interesting, how you were reliving your birth by using actions to pull that off. The Cats in the Cradle song, like I said, was really good. And I also thought you did a really good job of chronologically going through your speech when you said 1999, 2007, 2015. And as you led us down this path, I kind of got a feeling where this was going, but I didn't want to assume that it was going to lead, you were going to tell us about, your father passing away. But I kind of had a feeling when you started to talk about how you wove in the different interactions you were having with him over time. And I thought that you did a really good job of putting us in the places that we needed to be. The way you told the story using the songs, you're very descriptive. And I think this would be a great speech at a speech contest. If you ever thought about competing in a speech contest, I would highly consider taking this speech and using it in a speech contest. You have the rest of my evaluation. I sent it to you via the Zoom, but it was an amazing speech. And thank you for sharing that story with us. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Excellent, excellent. Very, very good. So next we're going to move on to speaker number 3, which was Cleo Robertson. So our evaluator for Cleo Robertson is going to be Miss Tammy Adama. If Miss Tammy Adama could give a 2 to 3 minute speech. So this is going to be a 2 to 3 minute evaluation for Miss Tammy Adama.
Thank you. Cleo, I enjoy your PowerPoints. I think they add to whatever topic you're speaking about, and you got us involved right away with the poll, which I thought was very good. Maybe a little more background on what each of those were for those of us who like Harry Potter but don't remember much of those. They were fun though. And I like that you incorporated Harry Potter in your title. It made it creative and it made us curious about what you were going to tell us. You were standing up so we could see you and hear you, and you spoke very clearly. Your tone was great, and you got to the leadership qualities, and you didn't like give us a long list of things or anything like that, or where we might get lost in it. You specifically went to the two things that were your leadership skills, your highest leadership skills, but you also included in so we could see what the other ones were and how you did with that, which was good. Things we can all challenge ourselves with when giving a speech is changing our pitch more. So you had this great opportunity because you had these Harry Potter characters. And so if you had thought about it, maybe you could like try to do some of their voices for us, so that would draw us in a little more, but you did have our attention, which was good. It's good. Let's see. Also to challenge yourself, maybe more gestures, because we could see you could have worked more with your hands and got us involved and drew us in that way, and your eye contact. And I know on Zoom, it's great because you have the PowerPoint, which just adds to the presentation, but it also takes away a little from being able to interact with the group because you're trying to work with the PowerPoint as well. So all in all though, I thought you did an excellent job of delivering it and putting it together. It was well organized and I really enjoyed listening to you. I have no idea where I'm at on time right now. Oh, there we go. All right, so great job. Thank you very much.
Excellent job, Tammy. Excellent, excellent, excellent. One of the hardest thing I ever had to learn as a Toastmaster was evaluations, and Tammy has given at least, 37 since she's been in Toastmasters, and maybe it was closer to like 8, I don't know, but you've done a much better job, a much better evaluator than you started, so great job. For our next speaker, or our next evaluator, I'd like to go on to speaker number 4, which was Elizabeth Clare. Her evaluator is going to be Miss Lynn Claiborne. Lynn Claiborne, could you please evaluate Miss Elizabeth Clare?
Good evening, Miss Elizabeth Clare. It's an honor to evaluate you and just to hear your story tonight. Get into the evaluation. You excelled at the organization of your speech, the transitions of your speech. You excelled at vocal variety. You used that variety when it was appropriate. I love that you ask about the roller coaster ride and how many of us have been on a roller coaster ride and how you have that thrill and then sometimes at the end you throw up. I also like the fact that with your transitions, you talked about 25 years ago and all the dreams and all the hopes and everything you built on. And that was a great transition all the way until your granddaughter. So the transitions were good. You had good energy. You asked questions. You gave examples of your story. You had great composure. Your language was easy to understand. And you even gave us a little thing about poison flowing through us in part of your speech. I thought that was good. So your description of different things were good. I liked how you use your gestures. You did an excellent job. What can you work on? Any kind of background noise. If you have to hold that beautiful pooch, just hold the pooch in the beginning of the speech. And then you can still use your hand, and you was flowing, you was doing your thing anyway, but just try to either put the bet in another room or just hold them, because I know he or she loves you and it gave you a little bit of comfort too. I also, that was the only thing that I would say. Oh, you looked up a lot. So I don't know if you was reading from a screen or you were using that to keep your composure. But another thing that you excelled at was your composure. That was a tough story. And emotional intelligence, we all go through it. And just thank you so much for sharing your story and providing us with a great presentation. I look forward to hearing more speeches from you. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. That was wonderful. You can tell that Lynn is an experienced evaluator by the type of quality of evaluation she gives. So thank you very much. You're always to the point, and I love hearing your voice. It's like warm cough syrup. So very, very good. As somebody once said, she has the perfect voice for evaluations. It's like, yes, I agree. So our final speaker was Mr. Hans Peter Hidley, and he is going to be evaluated by Donna James, who's actually going to provide a written evaluation. So instead of actually going through that this time, I will ask Donna to evaluate him written and then email that to him later. I'm going to ask instead for Donna if she could please give us a timers report for all of the 4 people who did speak. I believe I passed over that David did 2 minutes and 50 seconds, 250, so he qualifies. How about evaluator 2, 3, and 4?
Merrick Green was 2 minutes, 3 seconds. Tammy Adama, 2 minutes, 45 seconds. Lynn Claiborne, 2 minutes, 22 seconds.
Excellent. So it looks like all 4 evaluators that we just heard qualify. So we're going to go ahead and vote for best evaluator, and then as soon as we're done with this, then we'll go on to best table topics. And if you liked anybody's evaluation, if you really thought they did a fantastic job, go ahead and click on them at the bottom. You can click on as many people as you want at the bottom if you think that their evaluation should be put on YouTube.
Poll has ended. I will now begin the poll for table topics. All votes are in.
All right, excellent. And we're going to move straight into our final portion of the meeting, which is going to be our general evaluation. And I'm going to first call on my helper roles to kind of give their lightning quick roll reports so we can kind of get out here as soon as we can. The first one is going to be Mr. Zach Phillips. How do we do on our grammar and as awe counter tonight? Zach Phillips.
2 seconds. 2 you knows from Robert, 5 ums, 3 us, a like, a so, and actually a couple more ums. So let's say 8 or 9 ums. Gloria, 3 ums and a Lee, 24 us and 7 ums. Jay, I really like the use of the simile like in double Dutch. Cleo, I like the word photo manipulation instead of photoshopping. Elizabeth, I love so much about your speech. Notice the feeling inside of you is very hypnotic. Language like poison in veins, so expressive. And then you even did an allusion with Shakespeare. Amazing. Hans, you did half of an and I like the use of Nike it instead of, just doing it. Gerard, 2 us, 3 us, 2 ums, and a so. Me, like 50 somethings. Andrew, you're great. Merrick, 3 us. David, I like the use of the word spiel. 2 ums and 2 us. Tammy, you did 1 long and, which I do sometimes. And then 1 and, 3 ums. Actually 4 ums and a let's see and a so and a and then 7 ums for Lynn. So great, all in all.
Excellent. And that was the awe counter report, and sounds like you intertwined it with grammar, so wonderful. I would like to add in 37 us for Zach. I think I was counting. I might have undercounted a little bit though, but you overall did a good job. Excellent. Now I'd like to go ahead and pass it over to our word master. Listen up, Mr. Andrew Bullock.
All right. I have only 3 people that used our word of the day. Robbie Riggs used it once. Jay Buscott used it once. And Gerard used it twice. Did I miss anybody?
I used it
Did
when
you?
I said it was a finite amount of time in my speech.
Ah, I missed that. I am so sorry about that. Thank you, Cleo.
And also Jay used it.
I got Jay.
Okay, sorry about that.
All right. So, it is now time for Listen Up. So go ahead and unmute yourselves so we can get this on. First question. How does one make money on YouTube? This came out of Zach's speech.
Ads.
Ads.
Ads. All right.
Patreon.
All right.
Great.
In what year did Jay meet his father?
1991 when he was
91.
born.
All right. Where would Merrick not want his full body tattoo to cover?
His face.
His face. What are the perks of being a grandfather?
You get
Give
to
him
Kids
back.
back.
Give him back.
All right. How many gigabytes of pictures did Hans have?
25.
Thank you, Robert. How many times did Angel speak during Elizabeth's presentation?
At 4 or 5.
I counted 31.
There you go.
Angel?
Yeah, Angel was very conversational during your speech. And we
She's right there in the back, actually. I can see her.
Still peering over, looking. Like when he.
Which house won the poll? The Hogwarts house.
None.
None. It's, I don't know which I'm.
No idea.
I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for listening up, Mr. Evaluator.
All right, thank you, everybody. And I will do a lightning quick general evaluation, and I'm going to skip over the evaluations of the evaluators in the interest of time, but I will go ahead and give you my quick grades on 4 different things. First off, I'd like to give an A on amazing preparation and experience. I could tell that everybody here tonight definitely prepared their speeches. They had a lot of experience as Toastmasters, therefore they knew kind of how to do the evaluation portion of the meeting. You could tell that everybody here understood their role. We kind of had a few hiccups here and there, but they had a lot, they understood what to do and how to do it. And honestly, if you try some new things and you get creative with it, like timing, you're gonna have a few bumps along the way until you absolutely get it perfect, and it's never gonna be perfect for everybody the first time. So I love the preparation and experience here tonight in our meeting. So I give that an A. I give a B for beautiful transitions with few exceptions. What do I mean by that? We handed off everything pretty smoothly, pretty quickly. I will say that at the very beginning, Lee, I believe, or no, Zach, excuse me, Zach said, I'll pass it over to the Toastmaster of the evening. At the very beginning, if you're doing the invocation, you pass it off to the president. So, but I do, ironically, I was the same person. I do it, but either way, that's the second week in a row we've done that. I was like, what's going on? Invocation goes to president. All right. So absolutely, we need to transition there. And then there was a few times that I was called the general evaluator when I was the Toastmaster of the evening. And a few times I was called the Toastmaster evening when I was the general evaluator. And I'll excuse that because I was actually both tonight. But it is a little confusing. But, you know, we kind of got a feel for if it's evaluation portion, it's the general evaluator. If it's, you know, in between table topics or speeches, it's Toastmaster evening. And the last thing with the timing transitions. I know we were trying something new tonight with the timing. So I could tell that Donna at any given point had tried 3 different things. So thank you, Donna. I just say that some of the transitions between her and I know when she stepped away, I kind of had to quick step up and be the timer. So there was just, I would say overall the transitions were wonderful, but I give it a B for beautiful transitions with few exceptions. The next thing I'm going to say, I'm going to give it a D for delegation. Now, it's honestly the trio's responsibility to go ahead and prepare a meeting because I'm supposed to report on preparation from beginning to end. Well, this meeting started at the very end of last week's meeting or Wednesday, right? And to be honest with you, it's up to me, the VP primarily, but also me definitely, and the VPM to kind of get the, you know, hey, let's get speakers into their roles and everything set up. Let's get the evaluators, let's get the helper roles. Well, as of this morning, I woke up and I said, what? And so there was definitely a lot that had to be done. So I waited. I was kind of like giving everybody that opportunity, like, okay, let's try to get this all together naturally, organically. And we did not delegate as a trio. The trio needs to delegate to the officers and to the members to get more preparation into the meeting. So I give a D for delegation for primarily the trio, but I'm going to actually give a C for a challenge. I'm going to extend our C for challenge out to the officers as a whole. So if you're not in the trio, that means if you're the Tammy, if you're Zach, if you're Cleo. I noticed that both Zach and Cleo were like, on Monday and on Sunday, we're like, has any more people signed up? They're texting me like, what's going on? And I was just like, I don't know, that's a good question. So I'm going to challenge the officers beyond the VPE and the president, or even the VPM. If you see something about the schedule and it's Sunday or Monday and you're like, what's going on? Where can we help? Where can we be a conduit? You should try to reach out to Andrew and see where you can help, see if you can actually go out and delegate and try to get people involved in the meeting preparation. You know, Andrew's doing a lot, so we don't want to put everything on him. It ultimately falls on him, but we can help him a lot of ways. It's our responsibility to help delegation, but by all means, you can always reach out to us. So I challenge the officers to do that if you don't see the meeting preparation going the way you want it to. And I'm also going to challenge one more group. Cleo and Andrew, you guys are the administrators, correct?
That's debatable.
I'm going to challenge both of you because if I remember correctly, I was going to say, hey, I and Tammy were going to be backup administrators, right? So I was saying the last week, and then the week before that, I went to Andrew and said, hey, am I going to be the administrator this week? Am I going to be the administrator this week? Because I was saying originally that either I in August or Tammy in August were going to basically do practice administration. We were going to be the administrators. So if you guys still want us to do that, and I think you guys are all gung-ho about that before, because otherwise Cleo has to edit every single meeting. And I could tell that Cleo's getting tired of having to edit every single meeting all the time. So I would encourage both of you to go ahead and try to see if either Tammy or I or somebody can give you guys a relief and teach other people how to be administrators and challenge you in that regard. So A for amazing preparation experience, B for beautiful transitions with a few exceptions. I'm going to give a D, honestly, for delegation, and that's on me and the rest of the trio. And then I'm going to give a C for challenge. And the C for challenge is that the officers need to reach out to the trio if they don't see the meeting preparation going well, but also Cleo and Andrew, I'm going to ask you guys to try to delegate some of your responsibilities for admin duties. But other than that, I thought it was a wonderful meeting. I want to thank the guests and everybody for coming out tonight. And now I'm going to transition it over to our Toastmaster of the evening. All right, I'm back finally for the Toastmaster of the evening. David's just like, come on, man. And I would like to say that I had a wonderful time. It was a really good meeting. I noticed that we did not use too much of great power from great responsibility, but I felt like everybody had powerful phrasing and powerful speeches, and they've kind of shown through their content where they're going and what responsibility they're taking on, not only help themselves but others. So thank you, everybody. And now I'm going to transition it over to our president to close out the meeting. All right, everybody. Now I am the final transition of the evening. I am the president, and I'm going to do a few final announcements, and then we're going to go ahead and ask the guests what they thought of the meeting. We unfortunately had a couple guests that had left. I saw that Betsy dropped off halfway through. Tammy, where'd she go? Isn't she visiting your house? So
okay. But I'm in another room, so I don't know what happened.
Okay. So maybe she just wasn't feeling it, so that's fine. But then I noticed that April came on, but she left a little bit early. She had to leave out, so that's okay. But I did see one other non-Toastmaster guest here, Bryant Ruano. Are you there, buddy?
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm still somehow stuck at work, but.
All right, well, Brian has come back a few times, so real quick for a few seconds, you want to tell us what you thought of the meeting?
From what I was hearing, everyone did pretty good. I didn't really hear anything that was bad. Yeah, I like the Harry Potter one, though.
I have to agree. Thank you, sir. Absolutely. Well, please come back as much as you can. Unfortunately, sometimes his work transition shuffles, but I think that's about the 5th or 6th time Brian's come to our meeting, so he must like it if he keeps coming back. I would now like to reach out real quick to each one of the other guests that came who are Toastmasters, and I'm going to go ahead and start with Merrick. If you could do me real quick and tell me what you thought of our meeting tonight.
I thought this meeting was great. There's one of the club members in Germany that used to always say they're good Toastmasters meeting and they're bad Toastmasters meetings, and this was a good Toastmasters meeting. No. So I think everybody did well. Like you said, I really like how you guys organize your meetings. and how everybody does their roles and how everybody participates. And I was just glad that we're able to show up tonight and participate. And you'll definitely see us again. I'm sure Gloria and Lynn will, the team will tell everybody about meetings. And as the assistant area director, I'll be back for another Toastmasters meeting here shortly.
All right, well, thank you, sir. Come as much as you want. Come as often as you want, as much as you want. Like I said, we've adopted Lynn. We can adopt you too. So, and with that being said, I'm actually going to transition it back over to Lynn real quick. Just tell us what you thought of your 37th time visiting us.
Well, this evening, I believe that, New Beginnings Club is a great club, but respect of everyone's time, you have to keep that forefront, because when you have guests, they might say they didn't respect that 5 to 7 minutes. So you know what? It was a good meeting, but it was too long. So that's the only thing that I'll say. And you guys, that's just some food for thought.
Yes, ma'am, and I would agree.
I agree.
I think going forward, we until we become a very experienced club, we're going to keep it to 4 speeches as opposed to 5. So, a little bit here, a little bit there, but I think a new rule maybe we do 4 speeches instead of 5 at most. All right, Gerard, what do you think?
I thought it was great. As you know, it was my first time kind of experiencing it, and I got big shoes to fill for tomorrow. So I definitely have a list of things I took notes on that I want to kind of take into our club. And I really, really appreciated the invite again. I look forward to seeing you again. And like you said, I'll accept that invitation that you put out there. So thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Thank you. And I would like to note, if there's any questions that you have, you can go and ask them right now. Anything quick that you wanted to ask about the structure of Zoom and how we operate it?
Not here. I'll probably reach out. I'll shoot you an email or something like that, just to,
okay.
As Ms. Lynn said, to respect the time. I'll shoot it back.
All right. And Gloria, what did you think about our meeting tonight?
I thought this was an awesome meeting. I like that. Even though you said last minute you're looking for, roles to be filled, you had amazing speakers, 5 speakers. And sometimes with our clubs, it's like challenging to even get 1 speaker, more or less getting the roles filled. So I enjoyed the speech. I enjoyed the organization. I enjoyed how everything flowed. So in spite of the time, I believe that the meeting flowed very well, and there's a lot of great energy here. So I thoroughly enjoyed the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Gloria. I sincerely appreciate that. We hope you come back as much as you want, as often as you want. So, all right, so that looks like it's all the guests, and we got a couple quick announcements. First one is there's 2 more days of officer training if anybody wants to go to the online officer training for the district. I know I did my BPM training on Monday for the district, and I don't know what's going on tomorrow or Thursday, but you might want to go check it out just for the fun of it. Next Tuesday, we are not having a regular meeting, but we are having an officer meeting. So for any of the officers, that includes David, that includes Elizabeth, that includes Cleo, please, 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 please come to the officer meeting. And anybody else who wants to come who's a non-officer, or even a guest, even if you're a guest who wants to come, we will have a general evaluator next week who is actually a gentleman from Richmond. I've forgotten his name off the top of my head all of a sudden, but basically he is an expert storyteller. So he is going to go ahead and come and evaluate our officer meeting. We run our officer meetings as a collaborative conference between all of us, but there's also a schedule that we go along. So it is very much a committee meeting, but I'm not doing most of the talking, the other officers are. So I'm just the chair guy. But feel free to come and visit and have a good time. Part of it will feel like a regular meeting, but most of it will be a committee meeting. So come next week, that's next Tuesday, same time, same bat channel. And one other thing, we will have an upcoming social. We have not confirmed the location yet, but every month we have a social place that we like to go to. And that is going to be headed up probably by John Gregory. He gave the idea of having a game night at his place. So we're thinking about doing that on either a Friday night or a Saturday afternoon, evening. But if anybody's interested, we'll go ahead and send out some information about that over the next week. So that's the upcoming social. All right, now the final thing is what? Ribbons, right? Final thing, we've only got 2 minutes, right, to make it happen. It's 9:13, trying to go home. All right. Let's everybody hear a drum roll for, all right, Andrew, there you go, pretty loud, for our best table topics. It's the one, the only. Thank you for coming out tonight, Merrick. Thank you, sir. Merrick, for best table topics, everybody. Thank you, Merrick. If I had a virtual ribbon, I would give it to you and say, here you go, here you go. But I don't, I apologize. But you did a great job tonight, Mary. And now, another drum roll for our best evaluator. Miss Lynn Claiborne, I think you've won this again. Best evaluator, at least, did you win it last week or the week before? I can't remember, but you've won it at least one other time in our club. So she keeps coming.
right now.
7 times.
Undefeated. She's savage. She's got that natural evaluator award voice. It sounds like a warm glass of milk. So she's shaking her head like, I don't believe it. We believe it. All right. And now, for the granddaddy of them all, it was between two people. Best speaker, Cleo Robertson, again, winning Best Speaker. Congratulations, Madam Cleo. Best Speaker, and I hope to see that speech up on YouTube because that was pretty darn good. So congratulations, Madam Cleo. And if there's anything else, anybody else have anything else they want to say before we kick it off?
Yeah, Mr. President.
Yes, Madam
I
Time.
wanted to show people there's a way that I know when I started to share the PowerPoint slide, a lot of people could not see people presenting. But there is a way that you can shift the video, or you can shift the PowerPoint slide over where you start to see more people on your Zoom. So if Andrew can go ahead and share his desktop again for me.
All right, we'll do it real quick. Now, we won't be able to, if Andrew shares his desktop, we may not be able to see his Zoom.
Okay, do you see everyone along the side? There's only like 5 people you can see in the videos along the side, right?
Yes.
You see the 2 little bars over next to the videos? Take your mouse over to those 2 little bars. It's going to be 2 small bars that are vertical.
The swap shared screen with video?
No, right next to your videos, the pictures, the videos of yourself, there's going to be 2 little vertical lines that when you hover your mouse over it, your mouse will become a horizontal arrow.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So you can stretch, you can stretch everybody.
Drag it, click that arrow and then drag it all the way over.
Oh, I see.
And then you can still see the presentation to the left. So if somebody's a timer, they can still be sharing, but you'll be able to move them over, minimize their screen. You can still present, see everyone, and then still see the color off to the left-hand side.
Yes, I was aware of this feature. It was just that it was kind of inappropriate to kind of instruct people on how to do that in the middle of the speech. And, you know, I could see it was throwing off Elizabeth when she was speaking when you started to screen share, which is why we terminated your screen share. But we appreciate your initiative, we really do.
Learn something new every day, even when it comes to timing. All right, well, thank you everybody for coming out, and we are 17 minutes over, so without further ado, unless there's anything else anybody wants to say really quick. All right, thank you everybody. Have a blessed evening, and Tammy, if you could stay behind if that's okay.
All right, have a great one, everyone.
You too.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Nice meeting all you new people.
Yeah, come again.
Thank you for the invite. Nice to meet you all as well.